Well, welcome out there once again to my program. Always a pleasure to be here and always a pleasure to have you out there in the audience. The last show we had, Dan Robillard was on, and a lot of people watched it and really liked it. So I hope, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy this one. This is the tri-weekly, you might call it, panel show. Every third week we come on and we have a lot of discussion about the issues in the city of Fall River. I should say my panelists have a lot of discussion about that. A lot of information too, a lot of good information. So let's get right down to it. CJ, glad you could make it. I know you're very busy. Well, your lawsuits.
I live in this room.
How many lawsuits you have going now?
I don't have lawsuits going. I have complaints. There's a difference.
Bob, how's everything going?
Hey, you know, we're still above the dirt and we're still fighting.
Yeah, you get that big fire down in the north end, huh?
Well, yeah. Well, this Fall River has fires. That's what we call in Fall River urban renewal.
Burn them down.
That's right, burn them down.
Dan, how you doing?
Richard, nice to see you. Good to be back again.
Yeah, I haven't seen you in a whole week.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's get right to the nitty-gritty about an issue that popped up recently, and I think it's disturbed a lot of people, and it's the so-called wellness center. Now, this wellness center proposed and floated has not gotten really rave reviews, you might say. And also, it seems that it's going to be an exclusive club for city workers and I guess former city workers too. So it'll be pretty crowded, but don't forget, your tax money, and if you're not a city worker or a former city worker, you can't go in here. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's Club Diminati.
That's not an accurate characterization, Richard. I have to, you know, unfortunately, very, very rarely do I have to say that, you know, what the city is doing is maybe a good thing, but in this particular case, it's been really, the presentation about what this is has really been skewed. The fact is that this is a wellness center, and the wellness center, you know, there may or may not be a gymnasium. There may or may not be some other amenities to help in wellness. But the reality is that, because I saw the numbers and I saw the presentation, this will in the long run save the taxpayers a lot of money, because we're talking about millions of dollars in savings in health care. Everybody complains about health care.
All right, let's explain that. How are we going to save millions of dollars?
Okay, well, if you look up
the general public. You know,
well, I have the numbers. We're going to save millions of dollars because there are 4 or 5 companies, and CJ's familiar with the process. They create, it's, you know, like in the old days they had the ladies, in the Amalgamated Ladies Garment Workers had the health clinic down there. Well, what happens is, for example, these particular companies come in, they create a wellness center for the city employees, and rather than go to their doctors and pay $300 a visit like they do at Primacare, they pay $50 a visit. A lab, for example, one of the labs that costs $180 right now will cost $10 or $5 in
so
this lab.
They'll have services provided. It's not it's not a health club like a gym. Like you said.
No. Well, I mean, they talked about having some kind of facility for exercise, that, you know, and maybe ultimately having some physical therapy. But all this is a savings because they're getting it at a greatly reduced rate.
Okay, so a fireman on a job, he pulled some kind of a tendon or a muscle, and instead of going to where? He'll go to the wellness center instead?
Yeah, the problem we have in the healthcare, and I'm on the insurance advisory committee, I'll make it very clear. We have a lot of people, especially with diabetes. We have the highest diabetes rate in the state. It's amazing. And we have no maintenance and no facilities. And also we have a lot of people that go to the emergency room for everything. And when you go to the emergency room, they charge you tremendous costs. And some people don't have a regular physician, so they end up going into some of these walk-in clinics, and they have to pay a lot. And we track this spending. And if we have a facility like this where they can go for a cold, or if they have and get standard laboratory tests at a much lower rate, the city will ultimately save. This is not, and I mean, I know that the detractors have said it's going to be a big health club for the people.
Well, that's how it's been reported.
But look, that's ridiculous, because if you look at any decent health care plan, they offer incentives to join a gym. They give you money toward your membership to a gym. So if right now in Blue Cross, if you join a gym and you produce proof that you've joined the gym, they give you $150 toward your membership, because they understand in preventive medicine. So look, this has been vastly misunderstood by the general public.
And I'll be very honest, I misunderstood it for a while as well. And I had to really read some of the information. But one of the things that people miss is the fact that without a primary care physician, without a doctor they see regularly, they get patchwork medical care. And that medical care is inefficient. For instance, for a diabetic, there are actual protocols that have been created for people with diabetes to follow. Certain medications which all diabetics should be on. Certain tests which must be done every 30, 60, 90 days.
Does this go into...
This type of healthcare center actually looks at these proven practices and put them in place.
Well, you know, I can see what the general public is saying is that this is going to be an exclusive place to go for people who work for the city, and they don't seem to understand what's going on here.
Yeah, well,
Is this an added benefit for the city workers?
It's not a benefit. It's a benefit to the city, because it's reducing their health care costs. And obviously, nobody had a complaint when the International Ladies Garment Workers created a health center for their people. You couldn't go. I couldn't go there. My mother went there because she worked in a shop.
That was a private facility.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the system was the same. The system was the same. What happened is that the members of the union...
No, I understand, but we're talking about a private versus taxpayer.
But if I tell you, if you invest X amount of dollars of your money right now as a taxpayer, and you will ultimately save money in the long run, because this facility will pay for itself in a year or two, and then from then on, when you're paying $49 to go to a doctor rather than $350 to go to a doctor, obviously the city's going to save millions of dollars.
You're saying the city will be paying the $49.
Well, the employee pays too, the health care plan. Okay. Well, we monitor it. Look, Fall River's health care plan is one of the best operated plans. We got an award. We've run under budget for 3 years. But health care is a massive problem throughout the country. This is another way to control health care costs. And unfortunately, it doesn't come for free. You have to get a facility. This is still in the proposal stage. Well, yeah, actually we had a proposal. We had a company come in from Tennessee, and they had statistics, and they showed the communities they'd been in, how much money they saved. They have,
this will go before the city council, I imagine?
I would assume so.
Okay,
yeah.
so
I'm not sure of the mechanics. All we looked at were the numbers, that if we get this kind of health care facility, we will save a tremendous amount of money.
And my only problem with it is this. They want to stick it in the old Bank Street Armory, okay? Which means that building has to be rehabbed.
Well,
okay, there are other buildings where it could go without that.
I'm not sure if it's going there right now. To be perfectly true, we've already heard that the mayor has other plans for it. Yeah. So nobody knows if where it's gonna go now. So who knows? But
Dan, anything to say on this?
The bottom line about that is it's a cost. It's actually ultimately a cost-effective method.
Richard, Fall River does a lot wrong in just about every area of government. When it comes to insurance and health care, this is my expert right here.
Yeah, that's right.
And if he tells me this is a cost savings, I have no doubt about it, and I would support it 1,000%.
Okay, Dan.
And it's not a gym.
Okay.
It's not a gym. No, I already belong to a gym. So.
All right. There you go.
That's why I called it Club Diminati.
It's just a see? See? And he's your friend. Okay, this is just the beginning. We'll get more information It's not chiseled, set in stone.
As a matter of fact, I'll give you a copy of the presentation that we got from that place from Tennessee with all the breakdown of numbers for the next show if you want. So,
All right, yeah, bring it in.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's get to the next big thing here that I don't know when this came out, but where it is that Fall River once again has made the top of the list.
It depends on which way you're looking.
Unemployment.
Yes, we are
The
still.
highest
Yeah,
unemployment.
we're at the bottom if you look at how much we earn. Yeah. You got to juxtapose that.
Highest unemployment
well,
in the state of Massachusetts.
We are really getting down there. We
We're
are
doing a great job, aren't we?
Yeah, we're doing a great job because now we've gone from the second
Poorest.
the city, the second with the second lowest income to the first. We beat Lawrence.
Unemployment.
We're now number one.
No, income.
Income.
Oh, now income.
So now we're the poorest people in the state, and we have the highest unemployment rate, which obviously was one of the reasons that we made last, which is first. In low income, we're first in low income. We're first in all the really bad things, and we're last in all the really good
what
things.
seems to be the underlying malaise in a sense that Fall River.
You'll notice the figures are already out to count.
The same malaise we had for the last quarter century.
Exactly.
Ken Fiola in the Office of Economic Disaster giving away the store with every TIF that he passes with no provisions for workers, and it goes on and on and on.
What is it?
TJX,
Now-
Main Street Textiles, all the TIFs that have left here.
AJ Wright.
AJ Wright. Yeah,
Well, you kind of, you hit at something
Silver line
that people
windows.
talk about a lot, these TIFs. Now the old Harbor Mall, now that company going in gets one.
$41 million.
Why can't we bring someone in that says, I want to locate in this building and you don't have to give me a nickel to start up?
No, that we can't. Richard, we can't.
Do we do things backwards? Would you say we got a place? And if you
Backwards.
come in,
Ken Fiola has been sucking the life out of the public dollar for the last 30 years. He went from Durfee High School athlete over to the Office of Economic Destruction, and he's going to be there till he retires.
okay.
But you're going to bring in Market Basket, and you're going to give them, they're not going to pay taxes, and we're going to drive 2 taxpayers out of business.
Well,
'Cause
Stop and Shop is-
we're going to drive Stop and Shop out. So now we drive a taxpayer out
That's not looking for anything.
that's not looking
Right.
for anything, that's been an employer here for decades.
Yeah.
And so we're going to get a few jobs there. We're going to run Stop and Shop out of business.
Jobs will be lost.
Probably, and we've already pushed Kmart. which has
Kmart's
been an
going out
employer here for 40
with
years.
the Harbor Mall project.
They pushed them out and brought in people that don't pay taxes, another employer. Look, Fall River's problem are the people who are running it, and the Office of Economic Disaster or Destruction, interchangeably used. But the fact is, we don't fix Fall River by giving things names like the tourism corridor or one of our plans
Gateway
for
City. Where's gateway to
gateway
what?
gateway to
What do you mean?
To the heroin
landfill.
junkie.
To the landfill.
By the
Gateway
way,
to the landfill.
CJ, exactly what the hell is a gateway city?
100 years ago, immigrants came from Europe.
That's what the gateway.
They landed in Fall River. They got a job, and after maybe 1 decade or a generation, they moved out, or the kids moved out. But what is the gateway today?
It's a gateway to the landfill. That's what it is.
No,
And
Fall River is a gateway to poverty.
That's right.
Lawrence is a gateway to poverty. All our gateway cities are gateways to poverty,
We
and
don't
that's what
learn
people don't
from anything,
understand.
Richard. The fact is that they've proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that the more low income and income housing you bring into a community, the worse it is for the economy. And the fact is that this city's answer is always, and they use the guys, market rate. Market rate ends up subsidized housing because they can't pay their bills, and ultimately that 80-20 becomes,
That does become 80-20.
And there's more market rate coming down.
That's right.
Ken Fiola in the Office of Economic Disaster once again has just brought a plan to the city council
That they approved blindly.
without a single question asked was past 9-0.
Did you look at the plan? It was all
Nobody
blank.
cares, and nobody cares in the
There's
city.
no plan to look at.
I mean, the South End residents said they wanted the King Philip Mill down.
Oh, yeah.
The mayor is never going to take that down. He's got plans, and he doesn't care if the thing, you know, during renovations it burns down and takes out the entire South End. But that's just a little
Well,
aside.
we had a neighborhood meeting, the first Thursday of the month. That's when we.
You were placated, huh?
And they had people come in, and the whole presentation was basically about the King Philip Mill. There were some architects that had been hired, and they put
On
up
the
a
city
couple
dime.
of diagrams which didn't really amount to a whole lot of other much, and they took you know, questions from the you know, the people there. Now, one thing in regards to the King Philip Mill, they do not want any market rate housing because they don't trust it. There were a number of people who spoke against market rate.
But that's the
Housing.
people. They don't matter.
They don't care about the
They don't care about the people, and this is the
They
problem.
also said they didn't want the mill up.
Right.
Well,
The people don't want the mill up either, but it's staying up. But here's the problem. I was in an after-meeting consult with 3 economic development experts from the greater Boston area. And I can't quote what they said exactly, but let's just say that this was a fecal hole, or the more graphic. That's exactly how these gentlemen said it. And it said, what do they think about market rate housing? You can't use market rate housing here. You have no income. I said, we've got the federal reports that say the same thing, but you can't do it. So what ends up happening is when that housing are going to default on their loans, the state, with all the TIFs that they were given, is going to give them a waiver to put in Section 8 and subsidized housing. So all we're really doing with market rate housing, like we did with Commonwealth Landing for Larry Kudo and Tony Cadero, that's market rate housing. Well, we got a waiting list for these apartments that aren't even created yet, but they don't have to pay a dime in taxes on that whole building.
Yeah.
This is what happens. All it is a way to not pay a dime.
It's a sham.
well, anyway,
It's a
that-
big
that,
sham, and as long as there's no income to support it, it's not going to happen. People are complaining about rents in Fall River being $600, $700, $800. You know what? Take a 20-mile drive up Route 24. Go get an apartment in Brockton. $1,400 a month. The effects of market rate housing.
Okay, that was anyway the gist of the meeting last time. There was a presentation. Kathy Ann Viveras was there.
The
Byron
financial
Holmes.
magician.
Oh, yeah. And there was a and
Byron
by the
Holmes
way,
was there.
as an aside, Richard, you know what happened. You know how Notre Dame Church burnt down and took 34 families with it. They were doing renovations. You know how many fires start in
Well, people,
large
you know-
buildings. So they're going to renovate that building. And it's always a hazard.
There's always-
That building should have been down years ago. And the fact is that the bottom line here is, as CJ and Danny so clearly said, they don't listen to the people. First you said you wanted it down. They said, hey, I don't care what you want. It's staying up. This is what we're going to do with it. Then you say we don't want market rate housing. Guess what they're going to say about that? Well, you wanted it down. It's not going down. You don't want market housing, and you're going to get it anyway.
Well,
so
anyway,
who cares?
In all fairness,
That's our government.
In all fairness, the people at the meeting, they were pretty determined as to what they wanted, and it's going to be a hard sell to overcome the will of those people
But
in the South End, because they're fairly determined at this time. They've had it, and so far as the time, and that the building is still there, and it's very unsafe. These were things that were brought out. Fire watch is not that great. Lighting is very poor. So, anyway.
But the thing is, the people in the South End elected this mayor to get rid of this building, and now he's not doing it. And this is what's happening.
And when market rate housing is proposed, and it will be, most likely.
It's been
I will
talked-
guarantee that I can see the city council now. Councilor Pereira, well, this is going to be a real tough vote, but sometimes you got to vote for what you don't really want, but we got to have it because they said this is going to help the city. And everything helps the city, but the city never gets helped because we never do anything that actually helps the city.
That's right.
All we do is help the people with the money, and this is what I mean. What do we get in this city? We were on the news again yesterday about the stabbing at Talbot's. So this is what we make. And then these buffoons that we call our representatives, they talk about marketing Fall River. What are you going to market? We're now we have the lowest household income. We have the highest unemployment rate. We had a school system that's failing. And now, you know, we are in one of the top in the state in opioid addiction, crime, and yeah, sure, you know, build it and they'll come. Who's going to come? Can you see somebody who can afford market rate housing looking at Fall River and saying, oh yeah, this is a place I want to move? Nobody's got any money.
I know.
There's all kinds of crime, and there's a junkie on every corner.
I understand what you're saying, but it was brought up. It probably won't happen anyway. So King Philip Mill is very doubtful if it'll go market rate housing. The people in the area would like to see most of it taken down, except for a small portion that could be used for a community center, a museum along the water. So it's very unlikely that market rate or anything will go in there. They don't want Section 8. They really don't want apartments. They would rather see the mill removed and possibly some single-family homes being put there. Okay, so
one question:
anyway,
when was the last time you ever saw what the people want
all right. Well, we're kind of like
actually get there? I mean,
we'll
like
just-
every budget.
all right. Let's get to. There has been discussion about the waterfront and maybe tying the waterfront up with the central business district.
Oh, God.
How many times have we heard this plan?
Deja vu all over again. Here we go. Aha. That's all I got to say to that.
All right.
They have been told by numerous city planners that have worked for us and have been contracted for us that the only way you're going to join the
All right,
waterfront.
Let me ask you this. I know you're being kind of negative tonight. So.
I'm not being negative.
No.
I'm being factual.
What do you think? What do you think should be done at the waterfront? I mean, we have a waterfront in the city of Fall River. I know there's been a lot of attempts to do various things.
Okay.
What do you think should be done down here?
Containerized shipping.
Yeah,
All right.
exactly.
Something that brings jobs in. Something that actually does something, because for all the idiots out there that want to continue to sell you this is what I'm going to tell you. I want to see the morons that you can hook off 195 that are driving between Newport and the Cape are going to come to our waterfront. We have the two best waterfront tourist destinations in the upper eastern United States within 15 miles. You have Newport, Rhode Island with the mansions, and you have Cape Cod 30 minutes away, and they're going to stop at our waterfront. Let's get real. You know what? You ask why Fall River never goes anywhere? That's why. Everybody lives in like they're on drugs. They talk like they're on drugs. I'm sick of this. Why didn't they bring containerized shipping? New Bedford's begun to do it. Providence has got one of the largest containerized shipping ports on the upper eastern coast now. Because why? That actually brings jobs.
All
and
right.
it brings money in.
Dan?
I'm not being negative. I'm being realistic. That's the problem.
Pragmatic.
He said it all. There's nothing else that can be said of. Look, we've been hearing for 25 years, every project is a panacea. From a casino to the carousel to the waterfront to TIF agreements, everything is going to save the world. Nothing happens because this entire city is short on leadership and heavy on pie in the sky BS.
And he's absolutely correct. And the problem that we have is that you, the voters, you, the viewers, you, the voters, want to believe it because you want to believe that there's something better out there. Well, there is something better out there. The problem is the people you elect to do this, who are afraid to do what needs to be done, are the cause of the problem.
And you said that I'm being negative. I haven't been negative.
Well,
Actually, look,
I'm not,
Attleboro.
this is not a personal.
But no, but I'm saying. But let me say something. I've always given
something
some
out of it.
some options. How
We-
many years ago did I talk about on our show about having a complex, like a softball complex
Yes.
or a soccer complex
Yeah.
that I saw in North Carolina that brought hundreds and thousands of people in with traveling youth teams and had to stay there for a week. Guess who's doing that right now? North Attleboro is building a massive complex for softball and indoor softball, and there's one in Bridgewater, and they bring people in. And if they have tournaments like they do in North Carolina, it brings people in and requires them to stay. See, that's something that actually you could make work in a city like this. But what do? We want to develop Sandy Beach, because people aren't going to go to Newport beaches, or they're not going to go to Hampton Beach or Salisbury Beach or Old Orchard Beach. They're going to stop on Bay Street and go to Sandy Beach. This is what we have for leadership in this city.
We haven't even got a functioning hotel. We've got an administrator of a TIF program that will openly tell you we can't require X number of jobs for Fall River residents when we give a TIF away.
That's a lie.
Of
Which is
course,
a lie.
That's a lie.
Of course, it's
Other cities and towns do it all the time.
Of course, it's a lie, CJ. But this is the rhetoric that they spew, and the people buy it.
Okay,
and
we
the
got,
city council falls hook, line, and sinker for it every time.
All right, we got one more thing we can finish off with, and that's the fact that the railroad is not coming.
Oh, we've known that for a while.
Well, it's
Decades.
yeah, well, it's pretty much been announced in the sense that
Oh, yeah. There's no money.
this came from Melian out of the Chamber of.
Oh,
Well, I mean, you know,
Messiah.
no, but I mean,
Well, they finally told the truth. How many
Yeah.
decades did they promise? It's coming. It's like, we can add that to the greatest lies of all time, like the checks in the mail. And you know the other ones that go along with that. And that's it. Then you can add that to the list of like the checks in the mail. You know, the railway was coming. It was like the Red Sea was going to part and we were going to get our railroad. And they finally admitted it. And you know, their utter disdain for what is really good for this city, and the fact that they never listen to people. All they do is come up with these programs that benefit all our 1%ers, because
Right.
we have our 1%ers in the city of Fall River, and those are the people that have been continued to profit. Just look at our upper echelon of people. Look at their salaries, look what they do, look at their investments, and you tell me why this city has gone continually down till we hit the bottom. We are the foundation. Highest unemployment, lowest income. But I know a lot of investors in this city that have made a lot of money, and they're still wealthy, because you know something? They don't care about the working class in this city. Never did, and they like this city just the way it is. And that's the name of the
Okay.
game.
you have more.
yeah, okay, we're down to the last moments. Okay, CJ, any predictions?
Well, yeah, I'm going to be negative again. Always told it's negative.
all right.
But no, you're not the one that does it.
Right.
You're not the one that does it, Richard. Honestly, this is a joke between Chip and I for a long time. But what I'm predicting is that, you know, and I'm going to quote City Councilor Pamela Liberté LeBeau. We have to give TIFs. We have to. Well, you know, they did Amazon in Nashua, and guess what? They didn't get any TIFs, and they pay taxes, and they're successful. I think that maybe
Bob,
we should start not doing
anything,
TIFs.
Yeah, well, my thing is that I'm going to make a prediction that you're going to be ignored in the South End, and that we're going to be angry like the entire country is. That's why Donald Trump is getting the kind of votes he's getting. Everybody's fed up.
If the city stays on its current path, within 5 years, we'll be in receivership.
Okay,
I
you've heard
second
it
that
from the panelists. You can make your own judgment as to where the city is going and how things are being worked on. I hope you enjoyed the program, and I'll see you next time.
A little heated today.